Hello, friends, and welcome back to my channel. So, today we are going to talk about ways to keep deer out of the garden. I spent many years as an organic farmer and a wildlife rehabilitator at the same time. So, you can say I perpetuated my own problems. So, I'm going to share humane organic ideas about what worked and what didn't work for me. Thanks to Steve for requesting this video. Deer are not stupid. In fact, they are highly adaptable and very curious animals. This is why we see them in yards and pushing the limits to reach a food source. Every deer population is going to be a bit different, and you may have to try and use several tactics to see what works for you. In many suburban areas, this kind of behavior causes big issues. If you or people around you are hand feeding deer, it teaches the deer that not only are humans a source of food, but the deer can be kind of bullies about getting it. If you're interested in learning more about deer in general, I will link to my All About Deer video. Soap is often touted as a good deer repellent, especially the strong smelling ones. However, I think this is totally not effective. The deer lives near you. They know what you smell like, and they are totally used to your odor. The same goes for human hair. I have never noticed it deterring deer. Another bad option, and in my opinion, a very inhumane one, is using fishing line. I can't tell you how many animals I have pulled fishing line out of and untangled from infected wounds. Fishing line is touted as some invisible fence idea, but it will not stop a 200-pound deer. I do think that urine can be a good deterrent. The smell of predator urine goes into a much more instinctual, primal flee response. I used to tell my sons to go pee around the fruit trees. Probably we shouldn't let them know I said that. Coyote urine or wolf urine can work well because they are natural predators. You can purchase urine that was collected from zoos or other captive animal programs. This is actually a way for these places to make money. The thing about urine is it evaporates and gets washed away by rain, so needs to be applied often, and that can get expensive. So that brings me to dogs. Here is my dog patrol back in, I think, 2019. A livestock guardian dog is great, but you don't have to have a big dog. Just the presence of a dog can deter deer. The motion sensor noisemakers don't move, dogs move. Small dogs are often great because they are very yappy. My Jack Russells and my Sun Spaniel mix were adamant about guard duty. However, I have had urban dwellers tell me that bucks have gone after their smaller dogs, so use caution and be monitoring the situation. Automatic and motion sensor water sprinklers are often used in gardens. I personally have never used these because I have lived off grid and had a rainwater collection system. In talking to friends, I find these water projectors only work for a short time. So, my advice is if you purchase one to scare deer, you need to move it frequently. By frequently, I mean at least weekly. Observe where deer are coming and going. Deer jump and they are fast, but they can be creatures of habit, hence all the deer trails through the woods. Find your entry spots to your garden. This is definitely a long term response since the plants need time to grow. Both yew and boxwood are plants on the least preferred list for deer. Having a tall hedge that the deer cannot see over deters them. Please give this video a like if it's helping you. You can also use plants that deer don't normally go after to protect known favorites. Here I have squash plants surrounding kale. The fence is bent inwards. That was actually more of a raccoon thing. Squashes and melons, plants with prickly leaves, can deter deer. Herbs are also great because many deer don't like the smell of herbs, like mints. Companion planting is wonderful, but that's probably another video. Using cages is another way to protect a prize plant. So I use a lot of different fabric and netting to provide season extension, bug protection, and shade for plants. In doing this, I provide protection from deer as well. Deer don't like things that flap or move around, so I personally never had them take off the covers to get to the plants. A greenhouse is also a nice protective environment. I never had deer get into the greenhouse, but I did have a very bad goat who did. As you can see here, I used my greenhouse to raise seedlings and grow plants. In the summer, I rolled up the sides of the greenhouse and put netting around to keep the animals out. Raised beds can be used very well with crop covers that help the plant and protect them from deer. So let's talk about physical barriers. Deer can jump and they can jump high and they can jump wide, but not necessarily in the same motion. Deer are also very adept at getting under fences. So any garden fencing needs to be secured at the bottom. If you want to keep deer away from certain plants, your best bet is a good solid fence. I know you don't want to hear that because fencing can get expensive. Small scale fencing can be done to protect individual plants. I often caged in young fruit trees. Deer netting is not as effective because it's flimsy, especially if it gets used with fiberglass poles. The deer will figure out that they can push on it and it will collapse. You can make it more effective by tying blue ribbons to it to give it greater visibility. An interesting fact about deer: they do not like to jump over barriers when can't see on the other side. Just like I said earlier about building a hedge, putting a solid fence, or in this case, sheets on the sides of a dog kennel, can offer protection. In this case, it's used so the fawns can't see humans or farm animals and want to be their friends. They need to learn to be wild. My response to the lack of money for fencing was to buy used dog kennels. I grew corn in one for several years. Sadly, I can't find that picture, but here is one of Rocket saying hi to the baby pigs. Livestock styles of fence typically don't deter deer at all. They don't even have to slow down. Your best fence is a wire fence with wooden posts. The deer should be the fence, not the deer. The fence should be at least 6 feet high and actually slope outward at a 45-degree angle. You can see in this picture how the deer naturally goes for the opening where there are no plants growing. Another strategically placed tree might help this gardener out. An electric fence also works well. If your deer pressure is intense, you will want to use strands at 18, 30, and 42 inches high. Electric mesh fences have also proven effective. Electric netting can work well to protect a specific animal or plant. This netting was solar powered, so in periods of cloudiness, I did have some failures. Back to back fencing can also help. Deer have poor depth perception. As I said, they can jump high or wide, but not necessarily in the same motion. In this instance, the chicken yard was on two sides of the garden, so the chickens had bug patrol, and the garden had a fence. Even having two wire fences about 3 feet apart will cause the deer to be afraid to jump. I have not used the deer repellents sprays that you can buy. Most contain chemicals and are not allowed in certified organic farms. I do foliar feed with fish emulsion, which one study showed worked as a deer repellent as well. Hopefully, some of these suggestions work for you. Let me know in the comments and keep those video suggestions coming. It's a big help to hear what you are interested in. Thanks for watching and have a fabulous day.